Welcome to an excerpt from Jihad and the West Black Flag over Babylon, Mark Selinsky, and a foreword by Sebastian Gorka. It was published by Indiana University Press, Bloomington, and Indianapolis. This reading is presented by Kensington Security Consulting, which brings education to national security. This comes from Chapter 1. Black Flag over Babylon. I say to America that the Islamic Caliphate has been established. Instead, send your soldiers, the ones we humiliated in Iraq. Abu Mossa, a spokesperson for the Islamic State, throwing down the gauntlet to the United States, August 2014. We're going to degrade and ultimately defeat ISIL the same way we've gone after Al-Qaeda. President Barack Obama, October 2014. On the banks of the Garden of Eden, the Western world traces its roots to Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. Prophets of all three Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, trod its soil. The Tigris River is mentioned twice in the Bible, once in Genesis, where it is described as flowing through the Garden of Eden, and again in Daniel. In the Talmud, the waters of the Tigris were celebrated for their health benefits to the body and the mind. By summer 2015, however, the river's image had changed, as its environs were strewn with corpses. On the banks of the Serpentine River, Islamic State cadets, as young as 12 years old, fired bullets into the heads of kneeling Shia captives. On one side of the Tigris lay the ruins of Nineveh, once a thriving metropolis. According to the Bible, Nineveh was built by Nimrod, and God sent Jonah to preach to the people of the great city to repent of their sins. But a storm thrashed the ship and cast Jonah into the sea, where he was swallowed by a great fish. Jonah reconsidered his defiance of God and repented. Jonah preached in Nineveh, and Jesus cited him as an exemplar of humility for men of his day. The Islamic State would destroy the monument Christians and Jews left for Jonah. Iraq was central to the rise of Islam and shone during the religion's golden age. Under Abbasid rule, beginning in the 8th century, Baghdad became the center of science and philosophy. According to some accounts, in the 12th century, there were 30 independent schools, an engineering school, 3 medical schools, and many libraries. In the 19th century, Nineveh became a European sensation. Western scholars, particularly amateurs, carefully plowed through the mounds of soil to resurrect, as best they could, the vestiges of Babylon and Assyria. In 1845, Austin Henry Layard, a young English adventurer, published his accounts of the Great Dig. Henry Rawlinson, the British diplomat in Baghdad, caught the fever to unearth Nineveh's past. Christians were thrilled by Assyrian accounts of a great flood that had engulfed Mesopotamia. Could this have been the biblical flood? In the year 2000, 35,000 Christians lived in the city, but that number dwindled to 3,000 on the eve of the Caliphate's conquest. By 2015, the state's destruction spree had begun, erasing millennia of religious artifacts. They devastated large parts of the ancient wall of Nineveh, an important landmark, as well as other ancient buildings. The tomb of Seth, Adam, and Eve's third son was blasted into dust. They then tormented and killed many of the Christian survivors. In August 2015, the Caliphate posted pictures of disheveled, saucer-eyed Christian women waiting to be auctioned as slaves. Michael Finch, a contemporary poet, set the generalized slaughter to verse in 2016. He wrote of the ancient city, "On the plains of Nineveh comes a plague, Surah sent, and Satan's hell fury, swept wide, over, through, and pillaged complete, an ancient world's ringing bells no more. On the other side of the river stands Mosul, a city of 1 million inhabitants. It, too, has a storied history. In the mid-19th century, an American preacher and his wife erected a mission there. They remarked on the many Christian churches and denominations, including the Orthodox and Catholic traditions, among them the Chaldeans, Assyrians, and Armenians, who lived alongside the region's other religious and ethnic groups. Jews and Yazidis were there too. Today this is only a memory, but a Western influence, of sorts, has returned to the biblical city. In July 2016, al-Baghdadi announced the appointment of a new military commander for the province. He is a German. The Euphrates is the other great river in Iraq. According to Genesis 2:14, the Euphrates, the river, or the Great River, flowed to the Garden of Eden. The river is also mentioned in Jeremiah. Its 1,730-mile course mingles with the Tigris before emptying into the Persian Gulf. It was the source of life for the marsh Arabs. Saddam Hussein drained these marshes to destroy the livelihood of the Shiite in southern Iraq. Today, the great river is dying, exacerbated by a multi-year drought. The Caliphate has attacked the river's dams' power stations, reducing its flow by over half. Some Western scientists attribute the environmental calamity to human-caused global warming. Many locals attribute this misfortune to divine wrath. Holocaust on horseback, the return of the Mongols. If today's Islamic State had role models for the savagery of its tactics, it would likely be the Mongols, who swept like a storm from the Asian steppes to the gates of Baghdad in the 13th century. In 1258, Hulagu and his army sacked the city in an orgy of bloodletting. Described as a Holocaust on horseback, the Mongols' brutality was unsurpassed in the Middle East. Baghdad had been one of the most sophisticated cities in the world, with soft living for the privileged, elegant architecture, and tiled fountains. Its lyrical beauty was the setting for many stories in 1001 Nights. In Syria and Baghdad, Timur the Lame, or Tamerlane, created pyramids of skulls and buried families alive to terrorize those he conquered, both Muslim and Christian. This concludes a reading from Jihad and the West. Black Flag Over Babylon, written by Mark Selinsky, with a foreword by Sebastian Gorka. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing and pressing the like button. Nothing in this reading, or any other reading in Jihad and the West, represents the official position of any person or agency of the United States government. On behalf of Kensington Security Consulting, thank you for listening.